Robert Rivas here, and I am blessed. I mean, blessed to have this man in front of me taking the time to do an interview with me, Bobby Harris, Grammy Award winning Bobby Harris of the Dazz Band. Welcome to Double R, Double Take, well, Double R, should I say. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you very much.
Before anything else, I got to
Yes.
congratulate you and your wife. From what I hear, word through the grapevine, you just got married in January, correct?
Yes, we did.
Woohoo!
Should have played it. We heard it through the grapevine, but that's yeah.
Right?
It's interesting story behind that, real quick. But
Sure.
my wife, we've been together 11 years, but she's my, we're like husband and wife, but we're official now. But she'll find, if she's looking for an acorn, she's gonna find the 4-star, 5-star acorn. She's that way. She digs for hotels and does everything. But anyway,
Well, congratulations to both of y'all.
thank you.
Congratulations. Now, Bobby, let's talk here a little bit. Let's talk about the Dazz Band. You and the Dazz Band. Everything was formed in Cleveland, Ohio in 1976, correct?
Actually, 1974 was when we first started doing music together,
Okay.
that particular crew. We got our first deal in 1976 at 20th Century.
Oh, in 76, but everything started in Cleveland?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Wow. Cleveland. So I got to ask you, Bobby, what made you get into the music business? What got you in it?
Well, my father played saxophone, and he also was a contractor, building contractor. That was his real job. But, and so music was in my life since I was a kid. And I started playing clarinet when I was 8 years old. And music was something he never had to tell me to go practice because, I just willingly did it because I love the instrument. And then I went from that to alto saxophone, and from, basically alto clarinet, and then bass clarinet, and then alto saxophone. This is during school. And when I got to high school, didn't want to be in the band because I played sports, and the band guy was really, he wasn't hip. He didn't want to explain any of that kind of music. But I was fortunate to, learn the tunes, learn the standards at an early age. And my dad had me out there with him when I was about 17, 18 years old, in bars playing with the big boys, so
And the rest is history.
the rest is kind of history. I actually did not find these guys until 10 years after I had really just gotten into music there myself. Yeah.
Now, you had your brother also playing with you in the beginning, correct?
My brother played in a band with me called Complexus. That was the name of the band. Richard Sham was the leader of that band. But yes, my brother, I lost him, I think 4 years ago.
Sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that, Bob.
He was a younger brother, and he was a hell of a bass player, and he sounded like Sam Cooke singing, so he had both of those things going for him.
Wow.
So, he wanted to do his own thing. So that's why we never did the Dazz Band thing together. So
I got you. Now, there was a band that the Kinsman. Do I have that correct as well?
yes, Kinsman Daz was our name when we signed
Kinsman Daz. That's right.
the 20th Century Records.
That was in the beginning, correct?
Yes, that was our first recording. Before then, we were called Telefunk, and we were a jazz fusion group. And the Wiley brothers and Mike Calhoun, Kenny Pettis, myself, and then sooner Ed Myers, trombone player. We grew up together, but we were playing fusion, and we had the opportunity to open for Billy Cobham, Herbie Hancock, Jeff Lorber, Pat Martino, all the jazz cats that came to this club called the Agora to play. We were the opening band.
I got to ask you. So, what made you want to change from one name to another name? Was it just like, hey, man, we need something new, something fresh? What made you want to change these names as you were going about it?
Well, sadly, they would say Kinsman Daz. They mess up Kinsman. They would just never say Kinsman, right? You know what I mean? And even with the changing of the labels, we just dropped it and just said Dazz Band.
And
but they never got Kingman, Kinman, whatever it was. So it was like, nah, So after that, 2 albums there, we changed it to the Dazz.
Now you changed your name to Dazz, the Dazz Band, in 1980, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you got signed to the Mtown label.
Absolutely.
Oh my God! Jeez, how did you feel? How did you feel getting that opportunity to sign, should I say, with Mtown?
Well, that was so interesting because there were some executives from Mtown that I became very close with. They used to come over because they heard about us. And they said, when you're through with this contract, we're going to bring you over to Motown. So we kind of was anticipating that move, but didn't know necessarily when they were saying it. But 20th Century phased out of the record business. And so we went over to Motown in 1980.
Woof.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I can only imagine your excitement, to say, man, with Motown, because that's heavy duty right there.
Motown was one of those labels that just by them seeing that M and that label on your record, they was going to give it a listen anyway. You know what I mean? They had that kind of rep, So, in the history, Temptations, Four Tops, Smokey, you could go on and on and on with the history. And Berry Gordy, put together Hitsville up in Detroit, which is close to Cleveland and everything. But all these artists that I was on a label with, I listened to. That was the soundtrack of my life, growing up.
Sure.
So,
I'm going to have to backtrack here. I got ahead of myself. I got too excited talking about this. But let me just say this. Let's get back to the year 77, where I noticed that y'all went to Los Angeles to record with Marvin Gaye, but due to an illness, Marvin Gaye was unable to complete the project. So you requested and got Philip Bailey
yes,
to help you out. Woo!
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was your experience like with Philip Bailey?
Philip, Earth, Wind and Fire was like one of, if not the favorite band, was one of my favorite bands. Maurice White was one heck of a producer, singer, musician. And their work, I just admired their work because the musicianship was on a high level. And, we had very good, high level musicianship as well. So we could kind of shadow those guys or mirror those guys. And to have Philip, do our record was an honor, to us because we had been checking him out for a long time. You know what I mean? So, yeah. yes.
But I tell you what, Bobby, what'd you say? Philip Bailey is Philip Bailey, but we're going to make our own noise, aren't we?
We're going to make our own
noise. That's right. That's right. Well, anyways, let's get back. I totally skipped that one. I got too ahead of myself. But now let's talk about your breakthrough hit, Let It Whip, written and produced by Reggie Andrews, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Talk to me.
Well, Reggie Andrews was a special guy. Reggie came to us in 1980 when we first signed with Motown. And he came not as a producer, but as someone that kind of studied our direction and, guide us down the path that we finally got on. And Reggie had a heck of a background because he was Patrice Rushen's teacher in school. He was Gerald Albright's teacher in school. And in Dugu, he had this long list of people that he actually taught music to. And I picked him up at the airport in Cleveland. And by the time I got to Beechwood, which is about a 30-minute drive, we felt like we had been knowing each other forever. It was just one of those kind of relationships where we just melted. And Reggie passed away June 23rd. We lost him. And he was actually, my best friend. He was the guy that we spent a lot of hours in the studio together, 7 albums, and just stayed in contact all the time with one another. And he was the first guy to prove to me that you don't have to argue with anybody because we never argued about music, politics, people, family, anything. We just talked about it and just let the talk be the talk and moved on to what we were doing. So it was a special relationship.
Bobby, Let It Whip reached #1 on the U.S. Billboard R&B charts and also won a Grammy for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations. What an accomplishment. What an accomplishment. Really. What was the feeling like to receive that Grammy?
Well, it was crazy. It was a crazy night. It was at the Shrine Auditorium, and you had the 66 Grammy Awards last night. We were the 25th, so do the math. It's quite a while ago, right?
But worth it.
Yes, oh, yeah. And so we were going around at the Shrine until we could get out. There had the circles around until we could, actually get out of the vehicle. And so as soon as we got inside and seated, they were on our category. So we were still standing. So when they announced it and they said the Dazz Band, well, I didn't hear it. It was a tie with Earth, Wind and Fire. All I heard was Dazz Band, and we went crazy. You know what I mean? So, I used to think, Robert, that all these artists knew if they won, but you don't know. You don't know if you won until you get there. So it was more than it was a surprise. We was just honored being nominated, you know what I mean? But to win it in the company of Michael Jackson, and Tavares, and you know, all these heavy hitters that we were in company, I was like, man, we're not gonna win on Grammy tonight, you know what I mean? You know, but it was like, boom, you know, we won it, you know.
Talk to me about the atmosphere being there at the Grammys, seeing all these stars. What celebrities can you remember either meeting or seeing there at the Grammys that
Well,
year?
there was everyone, everyone in the industry. Obviously, you know, all the guys from Earth Wind, LTD, the Commodores, Janet Jackson. She hadn't done it, you know, she hadn't done a record yet, but she was there. She was young and it was there. I was telling my wife the other night, I said, that's the best party you can go to is the Grammys, you know, because you see
Sure,
everyone. And,
sure.
and Chicago, you know, just everyone you can put, you know, name was there. So I met a lot of people, took a lot of pictures that night, and we had a Grammy bag was really cool because they gave you a Sony Pro and they gave some great gifts.
The Grammy bag, is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
the Grammy bag was really a good bag to have. You know
Does
what I mean?
everybody nominate it, or just certain celebrities, the winners? Who gets a Grammy bag?
You know, actually, I'm just going to say the winners because I don't know about the rest, but I just know that we as winners got a really good, really cool Grammy bag. You know, with a lot of cool stuff in it. You know, and
Did
it
you keep
was.
the Grammy bag? Did you keep it?
You know
When you
what?
got
I
it?
don't know where the Grammy bag is. I got the Grammy, you're right, but I got every, you know, all the memories are etched in. You know what I mean? But it was just one special night. You know.
Now, Bobby, on December 31st, 1982, during a concert, New Year's Eve concert at the Front Row Theater in Cleveland, the mayor of Cleveland presented you and the Dazz Band with the key to the city.
Yes, yes. Mayor Voinovich.
Yeah,
Yeah, later
yeah.
became governor. You know, of Ohio. So,
Wow.
yeah, that the front row will always be a special time for all of us that were able to enjoy that. We used to play from Christmas to New Year's, and snow would be, you know, it didn't matter, 3 foot, 4 foot deep or whatever. We'd always sell out, and the Cleveland audience is one audience is just so loyal. You know, they would, you know, they just come out in droves and they knew your songs, they sang with you, you know, they supported you, and you know, we was living a dream, man. You know, for sure.
Bobby, I've lived in San Antonio my entire life. I love all kinds of music, R&B even more so. I prove that by doing my Cruising Classic show each and every Sunday. Now, but that being said, maybe I'm wrong in this, but has the Dazz Band ever performed here in San Antonio?
Yes, sir.
Have
Absolutely.
y'all?
Yes,
I,
yes.
I
I would say, Robert, I would say, gee, with Cool and the Gang, we came in there maybe 3 times with Cool. We came in with Rick maybe twice. We performed there a lot.
okay.
And recently, we performed there maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We performed there. So even in the last 10 years, we've been there like 3 times, I think, you know.
Was that like in a like a Love Jams concert kind of a thing,
It
or was
was,
that something separate?
no, it was in a big concert.
Alamo Dome, something like
Yes,
that,
yes.
maybe.
Mm-hmm. It was a big
Bobby,
deal.
I don't know where I've been. I don't know what I've been drinking or what's going on here, man. Like I said, usually I keep track of what concerts are coming in and what I want to go
Yes.
see, what I can afford. What the old lady will let me go see and all that other good stuff, man. I just do not remember that, Mike, but that's good to know. Do you
Yes.
see yourselves coming to San Antonio anytime soon?
I think 2024. We will, you know, this year. I think we'll be there sometime this year.
You be sure and send me a message and tell me,
Absolutely.
Robert, we're going to be there so I can be there. I got to see you guys perform.
Yes, yes, you definitely will get the message.
Let's
Yeah.
move forward here now. Um, you guys continue to score R&B hits with songs such as "Party Right Here" on the One for Fun, "Joystick," "Let
Mhm.
It All Blow," and their biggest UK hit single, peaking at number 12 in 1984, which was "Let It All Blow." But I tell you what, let's talk about "Joystick." Talk to me about the song.
Well, I wrote Joystick. Me and Scotty Eric Fearman, that was in guitarist in the band, and Cleveland, Ohio. You know, the Cavaliers. They had just lost to Michael Jordan. You know, when Michael
Okay.
Jordan made that the shot. Okay, and so we so so our
The
studio.
heartbreaker, the
Yeah, the
heartbreaker.
heartbreaker, man. Michael Jackson. I mean, Michael Jordan just had to make the shot anyway, and so they were staying at the Beechwood Marriott, and our studios were in Beechwood, about maybe 150 feet from from the hotel, and they had a ladies' night, and so we used to go up to ladies' night all the time, and so I saw Caldwell, who was 7'1", playing a video game, and he was bent over the machine like I'm going like. I said, first of all, man, I don't want you all coming to our town anymore. I'm tired of you all beating us. I was teasing him and said that. And I said, man, I said, man, you're so tall, man. How you enjoy playing that game? He said, and he had a voice, it's easy when you know how to work that joystick. So that kind of stuck with me. It kind of stuck with me, and I was just going down the road. We're on the road, and I just came up. I got up, and we had a keyboard on there, and I just started messing around, and I came up with the song. Yeah,
That isn't it unreal
yeah.
how songwriters, performers, they see something. And quickly here, Lonnie Jordan, when we were talking doing the interview, I forgot what song it was. Summer, the song
Mm-hmm.
Summer by War. He
Yes.
said that he was in his car and he heard a Burger King commercial, and it kind of stuck to him in a sense. Have it your way. And he
Yeah.
kind of said, hey, you know what? I'm going to throw in some of my words in there and make this a
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah.
And he got it off of a Burger King commercial.
Yeah. Inspiration comes from a lot of different places. That's for sure. Yeah.
Let's see here. Now, you guys signed with the RCA back in 1988, correct?
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about that.
Well, we went to Miami to work with prior to recording that record. And Marlon McLean, the guitar player, and we went down there and we worked with Ishla Desma, who was in a group called Foxy. Remember the group? Get
Yeah,
on,
of course.
get on. Yeah, yeah. And we worked also with Casey. Just trying to hit the guy. Charlie Koppelman had us down there writing with different people, just to come up with some material and so forth and so on. So that was how we got on, the RCA labels through Charlie Koppelman, who, had, a big catalog with, different artists. And so he loved the Dazz Band. And so he believed in us, and we went down there and got it together and put the record out, rocked the room. And it was a transitional period as well, for us.
Sure.
New lead singer and, different players and whatnot. So it was, what can I say? It was challenging, but it was, music is always a labor of love, you know what I mean? But, it was challenging because in my head was like, do you reinvent yourself, or do you stay on a course that you're on, you know what I mean? And, become duplicated if you can, so, because prior to that, Robert, we was on Geffen for 2 years. We did 2 records for Geffen before we went to RCA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, getting to the 90s, you had a revival, right? Following the infusion of rap into American music, funk, R&B, soul acts in the U.S. began performing abroad. So in the 90s, you decided to go along and with the support of business interpreter. I knew I was going to have a problem with this word. Entrepreneur. Entrepreneur.
Yes.
See what happens when you drop out in the 3rd grade, Bobby? Well, anyways, you got together with some bands out there with the Bar-Kays, Confunction, Charlie Wilson of the Gap Band, the SOS Band, and entitled United We Funk All Stars, correct?
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about this.
Well, that was a dream I had, an idea I had that in my head, that because of the time, we weren't getting signed by anyone, and a lot of bands were had broken up and were doing different things individually and so forth and so on. So I put this business plan together, and that would give someone, a businessman, soup to nuts, what this concept would be about. And I was fortunate enough to get a guy that said, hey, I love this, and I'm in. And he had a club up in Denver, Colorado, and we did a show at his club. And that's where we sat and talked after the show. And that was Saturday. Tuesday, we were signing a deal, and then the idea was to get all the funk bands on one label, because it was Rick James, it was Cameo that was signed, you had Roger Troutman, Gap Band. Charlie Wilson from Gap Band, SOS, Barcades, Confunction, and Dazz Band. And the whole idea was going to be, if to put that show on the road, and if you want one of us, you got to take all of us. It was that kind of thing, so we could control our own futures. You know what I mean? Just by being, like together, in solidarity, so far as the music was concerned, and doing the music. So that was the idea, and it was one heck of an experience. We all got to know each other. The competition of the days back in the day was gone, and we were older, of course, but we're all like brothers now. You know what I mean? Just by doing that, and that was 20 years ago. Well, 1999, longer than 20 years ago. But it was, I just did a show with Charlie, and Charlie had his first #1 song on my label, back in the day, on Major Hits, and I had a great, talk with him, and happy for his success. And Charlie's bad; he's a bad boy, yeah.
How did you feel? Okay, let's do a couple of little questions here on the side. Get to know you a little bit better here on the inside. How did you feel, Bobby, on the passing of Prince?
Ooh, man, shocked, saddened. It was when you see someone that, and I had the pleasure of meeting him, a number of times. And and his creative works was just off the chain. And he was in a studio with us, Robert. We were in Studio A, he was in Studio B when he was doing his first record.
Wow.
So that was, we go back to then. You know what I mean? He was like 19 years old or something, and the engineer came over and he said, "Man," he said, "What?" We said, "What?" He said, "Man, this kid next door, he's incredible. First he does his drum track, his own drum track, then he does his own bass track, then he does his own keyboard track. He plays guitar like a banshee, and he sings his ass off." He said he does everything. He said, and the engineer said, "I think he's trying to take my job." But that was Prince, and back to your original question, it just shocked the world. I think I just couldn't, things where you say, "Oh no, that's just unbelievable." That was kind of, it was so unbelievable. I know he's dead, but I don't feel that. I feel his presence. I feel he's still around. You know what I mean? I don't believe ghosts or nothing like that, but I just
got
think
you.
he laid so much out there that it won't go away. You don't want it to go away. But so that helped me through it. Me, I said, Prince is, you still hear him every day.
Have you ever heard a song called "Damn You"?
No.
Damn You. No, I'm
No.
asking you this because a lot of artists have recorded it, a lot of them.
Okay.
But whenever you get a chance, trust me when I'm telling you, go
All
on
right.
YouTube, look up
Mhm.
Prince, and look
Okay.
up the song "Damn You."
Oh, wow.
Simple. Trust me,
Okay.
he lays it all out there on this song. It is just, the video is just simply amazing. But
Huh.
even more so, I've always said, if you want to test a singer's vocals, either sing the national anthem, right?
Yes,
Right?
yes,
Because you're going up
yes,
and down and up and
yes, you
down.
are. Yes, you are.
And I got a second song, "Damn You." Prince, his vocals are just all over the place on
Wow.
cue. And I'm
Wow.
talking on cue.
Yeah,
Check out
yeah.
the video whenever you get a chance. You'll
Abs-
understand.
Absolutely. There are guys and women that I've seen live and have heard on record that never sing out of tune. And he never, you won't hear Prince singing out of tune because he never did. You won't hear Luther Vandross singing out of tune because he never did. You know what I mean? It's just, just something. Whitney, you never hear Whitney used to sing out of tune. You know what I mean? It's just like that with some people, and Prince was definitely one of them. And he kept his pop music popular only because the lyrical concept and the melodical concept. He kept his funk raunchy and with holes in it for your mind to operate in between the notes. He had both things down. You know what I mean? And that's an art form in and of itself. Because you could sing Prince songs because he sang them where you could follow him.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
he
yeah.
just Now, speaking of what you're saying about certain people could sing certain songs, I
Mhm.
just came back from a cruise. I was on a cruise last week, and the last night they had this show on one of their stages, and it was a show dedicating the music to movie songs, right? Songs
Mhm.
from movie theme
Okay.
songs.
Yes.
Well, this girl came out as part of the characters that were singing, and I got to tell you, I thought she was in trouble because she started singing a Whitney Houston song. And I
Uh-huh.
said, "Don't, man, you know what? You're asking for trouble. You know, you're going to sing Whitney Houston."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I got to tell you, Bobby, she nailed it. I'm just talking. I was like,
See?
she got a standing ovation. I mean, she's
There you
not
go.
Whitney. Don't get me
Yes,
wrong. But
yes.
I mean, you want to test somebody. And right after that, she decides to sing a Celine Dion song.
Oh wow,
You
she's
know, the
definitely
Titanic theme from Titanic.
yes, yes.
And she was like all over the place hitting it. And I was like, oh my God, there's a lot of talent out there, isn't there, Bobby?
Oh yes, oh yes. There definitely is.
But
There's a
it
lot.
doesn't guarantee you anything, does it? It's
It
got
does
to be
not.
more to it.
It does not. You know, I feel, Robert, you can always be rewarded if you got into music because you love music. You can't be always rewarded if you got into music because you wanted to make money. Because some of the greatest in that started all this stuff back in the days of Charlie Parker and Miles Davis and all these guys, they made nothing close to what rappers or us as funk bands made or anything else. But that music is being taught at Berkeley and Boston and all these colleges. You know what I mean? This is they were different. They love the music. People that love the music will never be disappointed by not getting the money. The ones that want, oh well, I play, so pay me. If you don't have a love for your instrument, no one will hear about you. This is I just believe that.
Do you have growing up? Growing up, who were some of your music icons that you just simply loved listening to growing up?
Woo. Um, Bud Powell, Oscar Peterson, um, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Lou Donaldson, Cannonball Adderley, Miles Davis, Dizzy Gillespie, Lou Donaldson. I mean, Lee Morgan, Joe Henderson. I mean, all of Wayne Shorter. All of those guys were people that I feel that I got an opportunity to hear and to see. And when my dad took me at my 16th birthday to see John Coltrane and Wayne Shorter, and then when they were on the same stage in Cleveland, I didn't want to go back to school. I said, Dad, if this is what I want to do, why am I in high school? They're not teaching this in high school. I was messed up the last 2 years of high school because I didn't want to be there. So
Who does? Who wanted to be at school, man?
yeah,
You want to
yeah,
get away from there, man.
yes, Sarah Vaughan, Nancy Wilson, Frank Sinatra. I mean, Mel Torme, Tony Bennett. It just when you hear those songs, they just never go away. When you hear those lyrics, they're so prolific.
That's
The
right.
stories that they told. So and the way the guys played their horns and instruments back then was indicative of the era because they were digging new foundations. They weren't building on top of something. With the jazz they was doing, the bebop and all that stuff was new. They were just blazing new trails. You know what I mean? So
Sure, sure.
that makes a big difference. We're standing on the shoulders of them. We're some of the twigs and the branches on a tree. We're not the roots. You know what I mean? So
before I end this interview, I love watching music documentaries. I just love watching them. But one thing that has always stuck to me, I was seeing just the other day a documentary on Chuck Berry and how they say, in all reality, Chuck Berry is the king of rock and roll,
yes, he is.
not Elvis. They were saying Chuck Berry was the actual king of rock and roll.
You had a little Robert, I think little discussion like Little Richard or Chuck Berry. That's if you know what I mean. So far,
I was just gonna
yes,
mention him, Bobby. I was just gonna
yes,
mention him.
Little Richard was an innovator of that music, and a lot of people emulated him. And a lot of people did his songs, and they were bigger for them than they were for him. You know what I mean? Chuck Berry was the same. He was the entertainer, but he was ahead of his time. Uh, rock and roll, and you remember this, Robert, rock and roll in the 60s and 70s was dance music. It was groove music. You weren't dancing to solos. You were dancing to the lyrics and a nice hot groove from Fleetwood Mac or the bands were Bob Skaggs. The bands were different, but it was 70s was groove music, and it brought country together because the funk was groove music, that was groove music, and everybody was grooving. Everybody was like, "Hey, I'm not worried about the politics. I'm just gonna dig me some music and just try to live through all this stuff."
Bobby, speaking of the 70s, my grandbabies, they tell me, Grandpa, you've got to get over the 70s, Grandpa. You wouldn't be here without the 70s, I tell them. Hey!
Yeah.
You wouldn't be here, Bobby. Bobby, I tell you what, any last words to your fans?
Yes. I like to thank all my fans, all the fans of the Dazz Band. Not Bobby Harris's fans. I don't have any fans as a person, I don't feel. But as a band, I like to thank all the fans that have stood with us through like almost 50 years of playing this music. We don't take you for granted. Without you all, we're just some guys playing some music, maybe in a garage or somewhere or in some club with somebody blowing smoke in your face. And also, I like to encourage the youngsters to learn an instrument. Instead of getting a video game, ask your dad or your mom or both parents, "Hey, can I have a guitar? Can I have a saxophone? Can I have a trumpet? Because that video game, you're not going to be on no concert playing a video game on stage. So that gratification of being able to play and having people enjoying you, being a messenger of hope and happiness for that day is not a video game. So I just want to encourage to play music, get into the music, keep the music alive. Don't let, when we're gone, it be over. That part of it be over.
That's right.
Because, you guys are so techie, and that's okay too. It has a place. But, if you can't spell out chord changes and you don't know the music and it's not going to go anywhere, So,
Amigo, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I want to thank your wife for helping put this thing together. Also, Alex and Susanna Vasquez from Anaheim. Not Anaheim. Whittier, California. Whittier, California. There we go. They helped put this together as well. I thank them so very, very much. And man, I love your cap. That's a badass cap, man. The next time y'all come to San Antonio, if and when you got some time, get a hold of me. I'll take you out for some dinner. I'll buy some lunch, whatever, man. I would love to take you out, a couple of beers, and just talk a little bit.
Absolutely, Robert. I'd be happy, and I also like to thank the Joanne and Suzanne and Phil, who is my stepson, and he's my wife's daughter is his partner, and that's how we all met and made this happen, and it's a great thing.
I'm blessed. I'm very, very blessed, like I said, to be able to do this interview with you. And I thank you so very much, Bobby. Okay?
All right. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, sir.
All right.